before a little sip of mate. Boom, cheers. Here we go. Okay, I want to talk a little bit about my approach to photographing the wedding day pre-ceremony. So all the getting ready stuff, whether it be details, actually groom bride prep, getting dressed up, all those moments, real moments, and when during those moments I use flash as opposed to not using flash. All right, so I'm gonna actually run through a whole gallery that I've edited in cold, and I will talk about those moments where I chose to do natural light and when I chose to use my flash on camera or off camera. That way you can get an inside perspective as to how I go about that day. And hopefully it'll help you figure out your process and give you a little more freedom as to where you can pull out that trusty flash and when you can just do all natural. Once again, this is all just personal preference. I know some people love that natty light and they're just going to go with that all the way. That's fine. No right or wrong. This is just the way that I like to do it. So let's dive in. Before a little sip of mate, boom, cheers. Here we go. Okay, so let's start here at the very beginning, the first shots that I took. We're going to go through only the photos that I took, not my second shooters, just to keep it very simple. I've been really into photographing the shoes away from the flat lays first. I also do flat lay with the shoes, but there's something special about including the ambience of the venue along with a detail from our couple. So in this case, using the shoes to kind of highlight a little decor of the venue. That's something that's been fun. If you look back here, found a little lamp, tried some things out. These right here were with flash. It was a dark little corner. I thought the drop shadow from the shoes and the lamp would be fun, so we did a little bit of that with a flash. And then little natural light here, no flash, just my settings here. You can see 250, 2.0, 500 ISO. So pretty bottomed out on my aperture and shutter speed. And so a combination of both. A little more close up. Here's another natural light of the shoes. And here's a flash. So I always like to balance it out. I always like to do one with and one without just to kind of get two different looks and see what I like most. Now, if I have the time to, I'll get really experimental. If I'm in a rush, I'll just do it fairly quick. This day, I was kind of not a lot of time, so I wouldn't say a rush, but we were tighter on time. There was a big wedding party. There was a lot happening, a lot to capture, so I had to move through it quickly. And using flash doesn't mean that it's going to take longer or you're going to be wasting time. You can do it fairly quick. So here you see the couple different photos experimenting. Then we brought it out with a dress. So a couple more. These are all natural light right here, hanging the dress. Same thing, exploring different corners for the dress. Little party dress. See here for the party dress, this room was very dark, and I actually used one light on camera just to balance it out with the ambient light. And I actually had, so I was aiming at the mirror, and my flash was turned to the back towards the dress, which was on my back left. So lighting only the dress as opposed to flashing the mirror and all of that. Or it was direct light, which you can see because of the hard shadow. So you're starting to notice that I do give a nice mix of half and half, some natural, some ambient. This is ambient light, some natural and ambient light, as well as flash photography. Here is more natural light. I love these shots. I love these tight details. You'll notice I'm on my 24 to 70, which is a 2.0. Love that lens. I used to do these with my 51.2. Absolute gorgeous lens too, and I would shoot these at 1.2. Now I'm at the most wide open I can with this lens, which is 2.0. Love highlighting little things. And we moved on to the flat lay here. So the flat lay, which you see here, I wanted to do some tight shots while we were still setting it up. Little test shots, little testers. These are with flash. So I darkened the ambience a little bit to give it more of a fashion pop. I made my aperture so that the ambient light would be a little bit less powerful or darker than my output from the flash, therefore giving it that like high fashion feel. a little bit more of a pop to my subject, which in this case is the shoe and the fragrance. And I thought it had a nice clean pop look, especially with those shoes. You got to get the red bottoms popping. Here we go, a couple more. Also flash, this is direct on camera, just pointed directly down at the artifacts here. Same thing for the shoes. I love doing things like this where you put stuff in the foreground. So adding the florals next to the flat lay so you can get that kind of shooting through that greenery, therefore giving you more depth to the actual picture. Love that. These are getting ready moments here, all natural light. These just kind of documentary style as they happen. I was walking around collecting things for the flat lay. So that's why you see these kind of jumping around moments where I'm doing the flat lay photos and then you see me inside. It's because I was going inside to grab some jewelry and such. So I'm always capturing, even if I'm going to grab something inside or going to grab a drink of water, I always have my camera ready to go to capture moments. And I thought this was a nice moment. The bride was in the reflection back there having a little time to herself, writing the vows, and mom and sister getting ready. And I thought that was just a special moment. Here we're back to the flat lay. This is natural light now. So if you look at the difference between this and this, right, you notice the harder shadows, a little more of that contrast pop. Here is a little bit softer, not as harsh as shadows. Everything's just kind of nice and soft and easy going. Once again, same shot here with flash and without flash. So you see the difference, right? You see the hard drop shadow. It's got more of a, editorial fashion look, and this one's a little bit softer. So we'll go boom one last time there. So it's still both beautiful shots, both beautiful looks, even more of a fall off here in the bokeh because of the lower aperture. As opposed to the flash, I had to have higher aperture, but still both gorgeous shots. I like to include both of them. I think that it's always fun. More getting ready photos here. This was all ambient. Now back to the flat lay. Once I had all the elements, this is ambient light. So just that natural light in that front porch area that we were shooting in, getting all those photos, and then same thing, but with flash. So as soon as I got everything that I wanted with my natural light, I just turned my flash on, popped it on, and you see here the difference. So one of my favorite things about using flash for these moments is the clean popping of the colors. So here you can see a little bit of a magenta, bluish, purple hue that's being cast onto the shadows from the light that we're getting in that area. And once I pop the flash, that's gone and done with. There's none of that left. You can point color, desaturate those things, and then do away with that color cast or that hue. However, I feel like when you get that desaturation look, it starts to look a little bit over processed, but you could tone it down enough to make it look clean. However, I think that it's just a superior look, way superior look and clean and color wise when you use a flash. That color cast is completely done away with. I love that. And it just pops. The whites just pop. So that's a fun thing to do. Here is a overhead flat lay photo of that same. You see that color casting, and here it's all gone. You get more of a pop editorial feel to it, which this bride and this wedding had that vibe. So that's why you see me do it a lot more. In some weddings, they don't like that as much, so I don't do it as much. But I still give them a balance just because I think it's fun. I think it's good to experiment. I think that you should keep your excitement for your art up. So why not try things during the wedding day that are going to feed your creativity, which in turn is going to give them better photos because you're feeling inspired and creative. So that's why I like to give a nice balance of flash and no flash. All right, let's keep on going here. Back to natural light close-ups. I believe this with my 100 millimeter macro here. Love that. Then we went off to get the groom with the groomsmen and the parents doing a little moment, little bottle popping moment. This all natural light. The light was really soft, really beautiful. So I really liked the way it was hitting them. So we did it all in natural ambient light here. We're outdoors. There was plenty of it. Just beautiful moments. I love that. And we can, we fly through these right here. Boys getting it done. Couple of different poses. I like to have a little dynamic. Not everything of them just like perfectly straight in line. I'll tell them first, let's do left over right. Everybody standing in line, kind of those formals, and jackets buttoned up. And then I tell them loosen it up a little bit. You can open up your jacket and just kind of settle in, hands in the pockets. So you could be fixing your cuffs. You could be buttoning up your jacket and then broing out a little bit, just kind of holding on to each other, getting a little closer. I like to add a little dynamics here where you bring the one of the, your main subject up forwards and have the other ones fall off, just to have different looks. Maybe some sitting down, walking is always good. Roughing up the groom is always good. And then he wanted one on the stairs, so we did one on the stairs as well. I like things not being always perfectly in line and allowing space for your couple and people to just be themselves, Gorgeous moment here. And this, I'm glad I had the flash because it was a very, very, very dark room. Let me see if I have somewhere. So that's that's how dark it was in there. This was with no flash, as you see here, did not fire, right? So a very dark room. If you look with a flash, it just adds a pop of color. This is not directly at them. This was bouncing off the ceiling, so pointed straight up right there. And I thought that was really soft, really beautiful. And these moments just came out that much cleaner. The reason I did bounce is because I wanted to also light some of the people in the back without having heavy drop shadows from my main focus here. Move on here to the getting ready moments. This is natural light. Felt like the mom was falling into the shadows a little too much. It's still beautiful. This was delivered. So it's still a beautiful photo. I love it. But I wanted to kind of give a little more pop to these. Therefore, I brought out the flash, put it on, turn it on. And this is all within the same moment. So if you look at it, this is the photo without flash, this photo with flash. Here, the way I name my photos is date, time, structure. So here the time is 14:23:48, right? So that would be 2 o'clock, 2:23 48 seconds. By the time I pop my flash on and turn it on and have my settings dialed in and ready to go, it took me, so let's see, it's 14:23, it's 14:24. So 14:23:48. So 23 minutes and 48 seconds was a moment that I had no flash on. 24 minutes and 14 seconds. So that's a matter of seconds, right? So just to round up, let's say it's at 50 seconds. That's 24 seconds that it took me to dial in that flash. Okay, so it doesn't take long, and that's using the step-by-step method that I have courses on how to follow these certain steps so that your flash is set up and ready to go really quickly, and you get this gorgeous soft light bouncing off the ceiling, just looking absolutely beautiful and natural, and everything pops. The mom is no longer in shadows. Her eye color is popping. Everything just looks gorgeous. I love that. Little backlit moments here, natural light, right? And then with a little flash fill. Natural light, little flash fill. Okay, there was a lot of shadows, and for them to look at me, I wanted them to look nice, clean, and even. Beautiful, beautiful contrast here. I love these moments here. This is all natural. Ambient light in the room, turned off all the lamps and everything. Same here. A lot of that ambient. And here you see with a little flash fill. Ambient, little flash fill. Obviously, this is going to be way more dramatic and epic. then bouncing off the ceiling. It just kind of lights everything up evenly. It looks clean. Everything showing, whereas here it's a little more dramatic, a little more drastic, but Sister's getting lost in the shadows. Here you see a little more Sister's expression. It's beautiful. Back to natural light with that epic light falling on our bride. Natural light again. I love the drama of it. So you were really sticking to that look here. Veil on with natural light, all that front light coming in from the window. Love that. Love that. Everything I'm shooting here is 2.0, pretty wide open. That's a common thing for me with getting ready photos. I like that wide open, that bokeh, that fall off. Here is natural. Couple flash pops right here just to kind of fill it in. Back to natural for those harder looking pretty shadows, just really making that fragrance pop. And I love the way this light was falling on her. It's just absolutely gorgeous. Some more real moments, those reactions. I love that. Not really much direction here. I just told them, the only direction was for this shot to hold the fragrance and look at the camera, and then just do it natural like you would. And then friends were there making jokes, making a laugh, and we got those fun moments. Then here, same thing, natural light. So you're starting to notice a pattern where I do a nice half and half, right? A nice even distribution of flash and no flash. Maybe, I wouldn't say half and half. I would say mostly like 75% no flash and 25% maybe, that's being very generous, flash during the getting ready moments. Here, I love this. I love this moment. Love that light. Anyways, first look, we're going to do all natural light, but I do want to fast forward to these photos right here. So this is natural light. I had my AD200 Godox on a light stand and my on-camera flash as a trigger, which is a V100. And I wanted to do a couple with flash just for more of that editorial look, because they really fit the criteria. If you zoom in, you can actually see here, that's the light on the stand there. That's the AD200 going off. And I'm standing right here with my flash on camera, but I turned the flash on camera off, so I only had the input from one light. I had it up high, a little bit off camera left to give him that nice drop shadow off to the right of them. But you see that just a gorgeous pop of color in his eyes. Whereas if you go into these that are natural light, it's there, but it's not as noticeable. It's a little bit duller. You have a little more shadow play, whereas here is boom. I mean, even the contour of his jawline, everything, it looks absolutely beautiful. So that's why I wanted to do some with flash, because I thought I'd give it more of that fashion editorial look. And I think we nailed it. I think it looks really nice. Couple more like that. The light stand stayed in place so I could move closer and the output wouldn't affect the exposure. It was still going to look the same. Whereas if I had it on camera and I moved this close from supposed to being back here, the light would have been way brighter, so I would have had to turn down my flash. Normally, I'll be honest with you, during this part of the portraits of bride and groom and wedding party, I don't bring out my flash very much. This wedding specifically, they really like that look, so I did work it in a little more than normal. For these photos, I would have just done natural light, but I did both this time. I did with and without the flash. Here's with a flash as well. And for the family foremost, I always do the flash just because I want nice, clean, easy looking photos that I don't have to work on editing a lot. It's just they're ready to go. And as you see, everybody's popping. All the colors and the clothes are popping. The eye colors are popping. There's no shadows under the eye. Everything just looks absolutely gorgeous. And for the bridesmaids here, I wanted to do at least a couple with flash, but I really like the natural, just soft kind of filmish look that this area had without the flash. So with the flash, you see that kind of poppier, darker ambience, which I exposed it that way so that we retain some of the sky and water color. And then without the flash, you see that sky and water just kind of gets a little blown out, but they look really soft and in place there. Back to some formals, and then back to the ambient light, natural light, backlit, beauty of this wedding party. Absolutely loved it. Little motion, same thing, interaction, fun moments where they're just naturally laughing and having a good time. Some formals, mixing it up, little motion there. And these are all natural light. Once again, all natural light. And then we got a little creative here with flash in a very dark bathroom. I thought this was a fun little shot to show off the red bottoms. Okay, so I really hope that this was helpful to you guys. As you notice, that I deliver a nice balance of flash and no flash, and the reasoning being whether it's a creative approach because I want it just to have a specific look, a specific outcome to that picture, whether it be more fashion-y, more editorial, or sometimes I choose it because it's more of a practical and, just lighting perspective. I want to use it because I want everybody to be evenly lit and because there is no ambient light. So if I were to really push my settings, I would get a lot of green or I would get a lot of color casting or just ugly light that would be affecting my skin tones from looking really nice. So I do make these choices purposefully, so I shoot with purpose. I'm not just kind of like going off and flash no flash whenever I please. It's more of like a conscious decision with a purpose for the outcome. And you saw it's pretty nice and even. I like to give both options, and depending also on the couple, how much of it I do it and how much I don't. Right? But for me personally, I like to include flash use throughout the day, especially in that getting ready portion of the day pre-ceremony, because it inspires me. It's exciting to me. I like playing around with it. I like seeing what I can get, trying new things. And I think that if you give it a try, you will also get inspired and like it. And if it's pushing you out of your comfort zone, I think it's helping you grow. And if you grow, you become a better photographer, and you're going to do your clients a favor by pushing your boundaries and becoming better. I do have a freebie course where I talk a little bit about this use of flash in wedding scenarios and how it can be helpful. So if you want to check that out, the link is down below in the description. Give it a look-see. And if you want to learn my step-by-step process on how to set up flash and how to shoot flash, I have that online course still available. And as you saw in that one example, it only took me 24 seconds to go from no flash to turning on the flash, figuring out what my settings needed to be, and taking the photo that was a keeper. Hope you liked it. I'll see you back with more content. Have a great day.